For Digi-Egg cards, got the 4 copies of the BT19 which is to help us draw additional cards whenever we trash cards from our hand as we climb up our stack. For the level 3 rookies, got 4 copies of Goblimon, which kind of gives that same kind of effect in terms of gaining memory instead, and this is the main rookie we always want to build into as we combo off. Next, I got the 2 copies of Labramon from EX5, which is intended to help us grab any Dark Animal and Shaman pieces from our trash back to the hand, and also gaining a memory back whenever we play a Digimon, which is what we try to do. Next, I play 1 copy of LordKnightmon for the same inherent reason, to gain additional memory whenever we play something back, but also potentially we can swing with it to delete our own stack to delete the opponent's unsuspended Digimon with the same level too. X, which is intended to help us search and find us our pieces, anything X Antibody related, which is quite a lot in this deck, alongside with our X Antibody option too, and also pitching a card from our hand afterwards. It's inheritable, we don't really get to utilize because we're not playing a Gurumon based deck, so we don't really get to protect anything when it comes to battle. To round up for the rookies and my floodgate of choice, I'm running 2 copies of Gazi and Psychmon to balance it out, but of course you can switch this ratio based on your personal preference and based on the meta as well. For level 4s, I'm playing 4 copies of X, which has the on-play effect giving a Digimon retaliation, which can come up to help us trade against the opponent's Digimon, but mainly we want to Digivolve into this card so that we can draw and trash and cycle through our deck as quickly as possible, and with its inherent effect, when we play a Digimon, we have to gain a memory back. And yes, you guys may have noticed by now, we are playing the purple X Antibody Dark Animal package core for this particular build, where I'm very accustomed to it and very familiar with it, especially during the time when I've been playing the Leviathan X deck, which I had a lot of fun with, which really suits my personal taste. But of course, there's also a black-based version of this deck, which I'm definitely going to be trying out alongside with LordKnightmon, which is incredibly cool. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you want to see it, definitely let me know in the comments, and be sure to give this video a like as well. Moving to our other level 4s, got 3 copies of Ogremon, which helps us gain memory back when we trash cards from our hand for the exact same reason that we're running Goblimon in the deck. I also have 2 copies of the BT19 Deltamon, which is intended to help us delete level 4 lower Digimon, especially getting rid of floodgates. And the nice thing is, because we play Gazimon, we can even use its alternative Digivolution requirement to Digivolve for 2 instead of 3. Aside from that, its inheritable just gives you blocker to your stack. And to round off for the lower 4s, I'm taking in 1 Black Gato Uber, especially when it comes to the mirror match or against any decks that might need to utilize the trash. I can counter it by tucking one of the stuff that they need back to the bottom of the deck and drawing 1 card afterwards, alongside with security effect whenever it's played. Lower 5s, let's start off with the 1 Cerberus from BT16. Same reason as why we play Labramon, just to grab stuff back that's Dark Animal and Shaman related from the trash, and then its inherent effect gives us Rush, so that when we play a Digimon, we can attack with it immediately, which is a very good offensive tool to help us close games at times. And then of course, 4 copies of Cerberus X being one of the most important cards of this engine, as it helps us draw and trash cards, and by having X Antibody or Cerberus underneath it, we can utilize its on-play effect as well to play a level 3 back from our trash for free. Same reason why we're running Bastimon alongside with that, so we don't necessarily need to rely on Cerberus X and having X Antibody underneath or Cerberus. And then with Bastimon also has Scapegoat, and with the inherited effect gives us a little bit of difference where we get to play something back from the trash as well, as long as something is deleted during the opponent's turn. Then to round for level 5s, I teched in 1 copy of the Blue Meramon just to give us additional draw and trash as we cycle through our deck, but itself also has retaliation so we can trade, and with its inheritable just works very well together because we get to gain memory back whenever we play Digimon, which you happen to see throughout most of our lower end anyways when it comes to that. For lower 6s, we certainly got the LordKnightmon in purple form in BT19 coming back. When it's played or Digivolve, you get to play any level 4 back from your trash for free, and it only costs 3 to Digivolve. Its secondary effect is great for redirecting and defense, but the main reason why we're playing this card is because we want to go into LordKnightmon X, which is actually the main boss Digimon of the entire deck. LordKnightmon X is just packed with a ton of effects in 1 single card, having piercing and collision to deal with the opponent's board. And when you Digivolve into this card, you de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. The wider board you have, the more you can de-Digivolve. And that's not all. You can also then choose 1 Digimon that they have, and it cannot Digivolve at all for 1 whole turn. This card still has more, because if you have LordKnightmon or X Antibody underneath its sources, it's gonna gain this bonus all turns effect, giving all your Knightmon name cards extra 3000 DP and Alliance. And the fact that this card just does so much all alone is the main reason why it can single-handedly win games for you. But aside from LordKnightmon, there's certainly also the inclusion of the Anubismon that's restricted as a one-off. Imagine a world where you can play maximum copies of this card alongside with Lord Knight. That would be just absolutely insane. This card can constantly help you trash cards and set up what you want in there and play stuff back for reduced cost, draw, delete level 5s. That's the whole reason why it needs to be down at 1. And this is exactly the reason why I run Labramon in this deck, is because that we can always grab this card back whenever we lose it for the first time. As for the rest of the level 6s, I also tacked in one Leviathan, which is great to help delete multiple things, gain memory, and have security attack +1 is a very strong card that can just beat down the opponent in the early stages. And then for the level 7, and to sum up for all of our Digimon, Ruin Mode is for sure to be included just because it can just shut down your opponents for potentially 2 turns, which is why it's one of the best cards currently in the game. Option cards, I decided to go for full-on 4 copies of Protoform, which is just super crucial to this deck as it lets us reduce our Digivolution cost as we go up. But that is also because I want to ensure that we're getting the maximum value of effects of our X Antibody Digimon, such as Dober, Cerberus, and Lord Knight X. To sum up for the options, I always recommend maximizing the standard wisdom training and purple memory boost in order to help us fetch and grab pieces as we need while we climb up and set up. Tech choices and other cards that you guys can also be included for this build. Since you run Dober X, you can also run the regular Dobermon just to give yourself blocker whenever you need to, and with its inherent effect to draw cards when you play a Digimon. Speaking of drawing cards, Garura X and Raremon are great for that as well in early stages. If you really need to cycle quickly and efficiently, they're definitely the go-tos. You can also run Lady Devi X, where aside from just playing purple Digimon back from your trash with most of your level 5s, why not play a token that has retaliation and blocker itself? And that can give you a lot of value with control, and you slow the game pace down as well because it gives you the same inheritable as Bastemon to float even more bodies back. You can also include additional copies of Ignite-mon so that you can expand into the Mervamon package, which is another level 6 you can get into to go wide and make rush attacks out of nowhere, synergizing with Anubismon very well as well. Death X for a similar reason, as you can further reduce it with Anubismon to play for incredibly cheap, if not even for free, so that it can deal with wide boards. If you want a memory setter, ST16 Mat is just perfect for this deck because you draw and trash a lot, so you can gain additional memory aside from just relying on having your boosts. You can also further expand your Leviathan along into the Leviat X package to delete opponents' Tamers, 3, 5s, and 7s, and if you include 7th Lightning, you can go for 4s and 6s, and that's why you also would like to tech in Dragomon, which all has that synergy package alongside to give you extra sources of removal to deal with your opponent's board. And to sum it up, if you're looking for an alternative to Protoform, you certainly can still include the good old BT9X Antibody instead as a substitute. You don't necessarily need to run 4 Protoforms like I am. You can juggle between the ratios between these 2 cards based on your own personal preference, as long as it helps and makes sure that you can go into X Antibody with full value. Alright, combos and how to play the purple-based LordKnightmon deck. This is a stack-based building deck after all, which is why you want to see your rookies. Ideally, it's going to be a Goblimon for inherited stacking effects, trainings, boosts to search for your pieces, level 4s as you go up into Dober X alongside with Protoform, so then you can maximize all your X Antibody related effects to gain the maximum value into your 5s and then into your 6s. So for the very first combo, it's the bread and butter of this deck that helps you cycle through your deck and draw and trash as many cards as you continue to find your pieces, which is really important to get your engine going. And these are the cards that you need. With 1 memory, that is all you need. With Goblimon in the back, you push it out, you're going to use X Antibody Protoform to Digivolve into Dober X for 1 cost, reducing it by 1. You're going to draw for Digivolving, draw and trash 1 card as well. Cards you want to be trashing away ideally are going to be some level 3s that you intend to play out back later on, if not, sometimes level 4. Next, because you have X Antibody Protoform, you also get to give something retaliation. Let's just say we give it to Dobermon X here. For trashing a card, you get to gain a memory of Gobli and draw 1 more card of Sunomon. This is then when you want to go into Cerberus X for 3 costs. Once you Digivolve into it, you also get to draw and trash 1, once again tossing away the cards that you want to intend to play back with its effect, because now that you have X Antibody Protoform, you get to use its on-play effect as well to play a purple level 3. This is where you want to choose and play something that's a Floodgate depending on the matchup. If not, the one-off Gobu X is also great for continued searching if you need it, especially in the early stages of the game, so you can continue and cycle through. But let's just say you play a Gazi off this case, and because you play a Digimon with an effect, Dober X is going to gain you a memory back, putting your opponent down to 1. And here you have set up a level 5, which is ready to go into a level 6 in the next turn to continue the cycle, and you have something to stop your opponents, or otherwise another rookie to work off of with if you need to. As a follow-up, assuming you start 1 memory once again, this is when you get to Digivolve into your BT19 Lord Knight for the 3 cost. And when you Digivolve, you get to play something back from the trash that is level 4 or lower. And since you set up a Deltamon earlier, you can play it back from the trash. And if it's on play, you get to delete something that's level 4 or lower by trashing a card from your hand. If not, go ahead and play an Ogremon to help you establish more memory gain as you trash cards from your hand as well. Or otherwise, alternatively, one of my favorite personal techs is the Black Auto Uber to bomb deck one of your opponent's Digimon on their trash, depending on the matchup, and it also helps you draw a card once it's on played as well. And then back to your opponent's turn, if they ever attempt to attack you, you can always use LordKnightmon's effects to redirect the attack into Lord Knight itself, taking down the opponent's Digimon, but of course you want to ideally try to keep the stack alive. And then for the next follow-up, this is when you can go into LordKnightmon X Antibody for 1 cost, utilizing its when Digivolving effect to de-Digivolve your opponent's Digimon, all the way up to 3, depending on how many bodies that you have on your side. Choose a Digimon that they have, and it can't even Digivolve. This can even help you play around aces during that particular turn, which is really good. Then, to utilize your inheritables that you may not have used yet this turn, this is when you can go for another protoform play to Digivolve into a Cerberus X for 2 costs. Draw it and trash, trashing a level 3 that you intend to play back as well. Gain a memory for trashing a card, draw another for Suno for trashing, play out the level 3 Gobbly or any other level 3 with Cerberus X. Dober X is going to gain your memory, keeping your turn. Thanks to having LordKnightmon or Protoform underneath it, you're going to get the maximum amount of benefits. This is where you get to swing with Lord Knight, and your opponent is going to have to use collision, so their unsuspended Digimon is going to have to block. This is where you can alliance with your side Digimon. You can even delete that exact same side Digimon to unsuspend with Cerberus X's effect. Your Lord Knight X is at 15k base, and plussing the 2 is going to be 17, pretty much taking down any Digimon on the board. And once you take it down, you also get to pierce for the 2 checks thanks to Alliance. And then since it's unsuspended, you get to do it all over again, removing another Digimon and beefing it up for the attack, and also chunking your opponent's security. And that's just simply 4 checks in 1 single turn. Now for the final combo, I want to show you guys what it's like when you have this kind of setup with just a level 3 Gobbly alongside with Lord Knight X, and having these kind of resources there. This is when it can really pop off. Assuming your opponent has 5 security, you can OTK them just off of this 1 memory. As always, you guys are most familiar using Protoform first to go into a Dober X for only 1 cost. Get to draw and trash. For trashing, you get to gain a memory off Gobbly, and also because you have X Antibody, you get to give something retaliation with Dober X. You can choose itself, or you can choose the Lord Knight X depending on what you want in the situation. Doesn't matter too much because we're going for a lethal attack here. Then use Purple Memory Boost to gain 2 memory. Using the Wisdom Training now to Digivolve into Cerberus X. With Cerberus X's effect, you get to draw 1 and trash 1, and then play out, but this one can't attack. Since it's played out, you get to gain a memory off Dober X. Now, these guys also help you gain that memory. Dober X, Gobbly, another memory each, and you also get to draw 1 Sunomon as you have this stack. The more inheritables, the more value you're gonna keep getting turn after turn, and that's how you snowball really, really hard. And now to continue the follow-up, you want to get access into another level 6, which can be anything such as Anubis or another Lord Knight, as long as it plays you a body back. But since it's Lord Knight, let's just say you go into another one right here for 3 cost. Then you get to play something back out. Let's play this Black Auto Uber, and then this is where you can potentially OTK your opponent. Swing with Lord Knight X, alliance with one of the Digimons that you played out. You also get to delete your own guy to unsuspend. Pierce for 2 checks. Simply repeat it again, suspend the other one, collision if you will, pierce for another 2 checks. And since your opponent is down to 1 security, you get to use this Lord Knight, swing, delete the Black Auto Uber to unsuspend, take down that 1 last security, and then use this Lord Knight to swing for game. Don't forget to grab the Spirit Transcendence collection on the AVAULT store right now, as we have limited quantities. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.